How you doing? This is Bishop W.J. of the Preachers Network. We're glad to have you today. We have an exciting guest with us. I was talking with him, and he's an exciting man, got a lot of information to give us. Dr. Pastor John Smith. How you doing, sir? Great to have you. He's the pastor of Xponential Online. And when I was talking with Pastor Smith, it just really intrigued me about how his ministry is exploding online. He said that he have over 10 million people that view his service. So we want to just give him an opportunity to talk and tell us who is Pastor Smith and a little bit about your church.
Okay, I am John Smith, Pastor Smith. I come from East Texas, Northeast Texas, so I'm a country boy. I eat all the country stuff that all the country people eat.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, in my freezer right now, there's coon and
What?
possum.
I don't eat coon.
Yeah, and my wife opened the fridge the other day, and she said, you got to find a freezer for your own. She said that coon leg was sticking up.
What?
I said, he died trying. But And so I was pastoring. I started preaching when I was 13. And I was in the traditional African-American church.
Okay.
A lot of cousins that are preachers in my family, extended family. We got over 300 preachers in the family.
Well, that's a lot of preachers.
Everywhere you turn.
What?
Everywhere you turn. And so I have all those cousins who are preachers, and my calendar filled up the first sermon I gave, and went on and on. And as I got more involved in the church and ended up going to college and seminary, I became disgruntled with the African American church.
Okay, that's good.
So I left, consciously left from hanging in the church atmosphere with black people. I couldn't get away from black people because my family black and I'm black.
Right. So let me ask you something, Pastor. You know, like I said, I'm kind of
no problem.
interject in. Why did you get disgruntled with the African American church? Talk about that.
A couple of things. The first thing was the high level of overt immorality. People sin, they do, but overt sin.
Okay. So explain overt. What do you mean?
Overt extramarital affairs that nobody was ashamed of, nobody corrected or aligned somebody because they were participating openly in doing this stuff.
Openly, okay.
Openly. You know, people sin.
Right.
But we don't need to be so open with it that nobody confronts you about it.
Right.
I mean, the Bible gives the idea that if it's a public sin, it deserves a public rebuke.
Right.
As long as you keep it in your house, ain't got no business in it.
Right, that's right. I like that.
But when you're putting it out, such as one pastor I knew, the church was paying his outside child support.
Okay.
I thought that was crazy.
Okay.
Now, when I went into the white church, for a lack of a better way to say it, there was still sin issues.
Right.
But they dealt with it.
Right, okay.
That was the only difference.
They dealt with it, okay.
They dealt with it. It wasn't that black preachers and black churches were doing things that the white preachers and white churches wasn't doing.
Right.
White folks just dealt with it.
Right, okay.
And so that was a big plus for me. And,
Okay.
And then plus they loved my preaching. And, you know, and then white churches paid.
Okay.
Can I just be real about that?
So paid, what you mean?
They pay you.
What that mean? Come on, elaborate on that.
It depends on what you mean. Let's see. I would go and preach places in African American church, and sometimes I remember doing a revival in Lodi, Texas, and for 5 days, and the very last day, and I was 16 years old, and the pastor came and said, "Look, we ain't been having that big of a crowd, and so the only money we raised, we got to pay the electric bill."
Okay.
He said, "So we ain't gonna be able to give you nothing." Well, at that time,
Lord.
nothing. And my mom at that time said, "Oh, he gonna give you something,
Right,
because I've been driving you down here and wasting gas."
That's right.
And she said, "If you don't give him a whole lot, that's fine, but you're gonna give me some gas money."
Right.
And so once I started, before I started seminary in my home area, because I was kind of an anomaly, I guess, of some sort. A lot of white churches down there in East Texas would have me over and pay me. And when I say pay me,
Okay.
For a teenager, to get $300-400 for
Yeah,
one
that's
message.
a lot of money.
Yeah, back in the
I know.
80s, that was
That's a lot of money.
80s. That was a lot of money, and I would preach for them. Major churches, I say major, large churches, say 500-600 people at that time. And then when I came to seminary in Conway, or Bible college in Conway, because it was a white school,
Right.
and the professors would invite me to their churches, and because I would preach at their churches, then it became a network. Let's get John to preach. Let's get John.
Okay.
And they paid me well.
Okay.
More than any black church that I ever gone to,
Right.
they paid me well.
Right.
And so then when they offered me a position on staff, in most African American churches during that time, I don't know necessarily about now, during that time every position was volunteer.
Right. Mostly volunteer. That's right.
But when they hired me,
Okay.
I was able to get a degree in theology and get paid for it.
Oh, okay.
Now I could preach all over because I got cousins as pastors.
Right.
I could fill my calendar up today because
Right,
I got that
right.
many cousins as
Right.
pastors and have preaching opportunities for the next 5 years, and that's
Right,
the truth.
right.
Even if I didn't go outside my family.
Right. But it's just a difference.
Yeah, them Negroes ain't gonna pay me. But the thing was, I needed to take care of my family.
Right.
And because I believe God had called me to ministry, I needed the availability in ministry to take care of my family.
Okay. That's good.
I'm bivocational now by choice,
Okay. That's good.
not by mandate.
Not by mandate. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. That's great. That's great. So it's you said the African American church don't pay as much as the
Not a
Caucasian.
living.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
$50 a week revenue ain't gone.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work it.
No, my water bill more than that. Right?
I know. You hey, you made an awesome point there. So do you desire to do you feel that call to that side more than to
So when I was pastoring up in northern Nevada,
okay.
the Reno, Lake Tahoe area, pastor of White Church.
Yeah.
I have a buddy in Texas. I said, man, I feel God calling me back to the African American church.
Okay.
And he said, stay with the white people. Don't.
Okay.
You got it made. Don't mess it up.
Okay.
Yeah, stay with the white people. Then when I was offered a church in the city of Little Rock and had to relocate, it was a black church, and I came and I had a cultural shock.
Okay. Culture shock.
Cultural shock, pastoring a black church.
Okay. So what you mean by that?
I was used to missions, and I was used to high levels of teaching. I was used to people actually coming to Bible study.
Right.
I was used to people taking care of the pastors to the point that you don't need a pastor's anniversary.
Right.
Didn't need no bump up at the end of the year.
You didn't need the bump.
No, they need the bump because the bump was built in.
It was already built in, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
Yeah. And it freed me up to do ministry.
Right.
And I didn't get paid. For instance, like in the church I was pastoring, the average salary was $159,000
Okay, that's good.
for the average member. And at that time, I only was getting paid, I was getting paid a little bit more than what the average was.
Well, that's great.
Okay.
You're doing awesome.
And then when I came to Little Rock, I took a pay cut of $146,000 a year to pastor a church in Little Rock.
What? So you was getting like 50,000.
No, they paid me $32,000 a year.
Okay.
And so, and then they thought I was about money. When I said after a year, let's reevaluate the money stuff. And they said,
Right.
you knew you was about the money. I said, if I was about the money, I never would have came.
Right. That's right.
Nobody takes a pay cut of $146,000 to
that's
go
a lot of-
nowhere when they're about the money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. But, so go ahead, because I can just talk.
That's awesome. I really love this. So let me ask you something. What's your approach to ministry?
So my particular approach to ministry, because I've been poured into by a lot of people.
Okay.
So I can't say that any of this is original. I believe that ministry should be distributed.
Okay.
By that, what I mean is that every member is a minister.
Okay. That's good.
We just need to find what God has gifted them with
Right.
and plug them in. So when I was getting my PhD in Islamic international Christian Muslim relationships, one of the things that they brought to Hartford, Connecticut was this group that deals with how do you grow churches? How do you do all this church stuff? It was
Okay.
a biotic type environment where the church, the body of Christ, looked at as an organism and not an
Right.
organization, and the body life. And so
Right.
the idea was that if a body is healthy, like a human body, if it's healthy, you can't stop it from growing. It's going to
Right.
replicate. It's going to, all the cellular structures are going to just replicate and be healthy and whole and all this stuff. And so they applied that philosophy to
I like that. That's
church.
good. Yeah.
And so what they discovered and what they taught us was there were 8 dynamics to, they interviewed and did a survey on 170,000 churches around the world.
170,000. That's a lot of
170,000.
analysis.
And when they boiled it down, what churches were healthy, growing, and dynamic, they boiled it down to 8 things.
Okay.
And so they taught us those 8 things, how to go in a church and do those 8 things. And you can't stop that church from growing. Impossible.
It's impossible.
Impossible.
And you know what's so funny about it? You know, we've been kind of talking about this on our interviews.
Mhm.
You know about how a church is if it's dwindling. You know how the pastor should he
Yeah,
keep
'cause-
going or
Yeah,
should he?
that dwindling can stop, Reverend.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason why a church is on the decline unless it's being judged by God.
That's good.
Any other reason
That's good.
in this day and age, we know scientifically, I know that sounds crazy, but scientifically we know
Yeah.
how to grow churches.
Right.
If you put me in the middle of, well, for instance, one of my masters that I got was from Criswell College. Well, two
Okay.
of them. And they call us Criswell men out of Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
They say you take a Criswell man and put him on a deserted island, come back in 3 years, you're going to have yourself a New Testament church.
All right then.
On a deserted island.
On a deserted island, you're gonna find some people.
We're going to find somebody.
Yeah.
We're going to turn this into a church. If it
Yeah.
ain't nothing but the bird, we're going to have church. And so, but over the years, God has allowed me to participate with churches that are dead, declining, or stagnant, being trained by people like Dr. Bill Eason. And I never seen it where the principles did not work.
That's
And I'm
great.
talking about hundreds of churches.
That's great. That's great. So we was talking in the back, and you was talking about how y'all went in and you charged a fee. So kind of talk about that.
Well, that fee, with the group that I was in, they would charge a minimum of $50,000.
Okay.
But because I love African American churches, all the stuff that I've learned,
Right.
and because I was being paid well by the churches that I pastored, I would always offer my services free,
What? That's great.
and have not got one African American church to bite yet.
They won't bite, huh?
Won't bite.
So what are those eight principles?
Well, if you look it up, Reverend, you can look up natural church development. Natural
Okay.
church development. I might have some books at the house that I can give
Okay.
away to you. But natural church development, you got to have inspiring worship. You got to have passionate worship, which would be prayer.
Right.
You got to have gift-oriented ministry,
Right.
need-based evangelism.
Okay.
And so it's stuff like that. And then, okay, well, each church is different, right? So we got to flesh this out differently for this church
Right,
versus
right.
that
Every
church.
church different,
Now, also,
yeah.
Dr. Bill Eason, when he would go into church, he would say the reason why any church is not growing, one of the basic foundational reasons, you got 3 people that you need to put out.
3 people.
And we'd interview all the leadership.
Okay.
And he'd get a pastor a list of 3 names, say, put them out. Tell them, don't come back next week.
Oh, okay.
And so
Don't you think that's kind of harsh?
it worked, though, Reverend.
It works. Some people got to leave.
Some people got to leave, Reverend.
Oh man.
That's the hard part,
Yeah,
Reverend.
that's hard.
Especially if you're in a small ministry, even in a
Right.
large ministry. Because I saw Dr. Bill Eason tell people who were $10,000 a week givers, you need to tell him not to ever come back to this church.
10,000 a week. Give
Oh, yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's
Now,
a lot of
Reverend,
giving. That's a lot of
my
giving.
faith would have shook.
Yeah, that's a lot of giving, Doc.
My faith
Yeah.
would have shook. You hear me? But and
That's
if they
great.
didn't agree, he told all us pack up our stuff. We leaving.
Mm.
And every time the pastors end up in the parking lot asking us, please don't leave, help my church. And within 5-6 months, those churches were jammed.
That's great. That's great. That's great. That's awesome. So Dr. Smith, we thank you for all your information. I want to close with this. You kind of infused us with some good information. So where do you see the church going? You know, because you you optimistic. You really got a lot of ideas, and so I kind of got a feeling how you feel. But let's kind of talk to the pastors on it.
Okay, so one thing we have to understand is what I would call the translatability of the gospel. And so there are, during periods of history, there are always time periods where God works more actively in this region or this geographical location than he does another.
Right, that's good.
And so right now in the U.S., if we're talking to pastors in the U.S.,
Yes.
we're on the decline.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Okay.
But just because as a nation we're on the decline doesn't mean individually as a church.
You shouldn't be on the decline.
Yeah, and so church attendance nationwide in the United States is dwindling, and it's going to continue to dwindle.
Okay.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that you locally that you can't be a shining star where you're
Right.
not dwindling.
Right.
So the translatability of the gospel. Find out where God is operating, and join Him.
Yeah, that's good.
Join Him. And so I'm optimistic about the church, but I think that we're going to have to change our mode of operation. So whereas it was just a site-based
Okay.
ministry, if you're going to have an impact,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to have to be a multiple site-based ministry, not just online, not just in
Right,
person.
right, right.
You got to be able to train, equip, empower people, and release them for ministry.
That's good.
And I think that what happened is, say for instance, I'm just talking about here. Say for instance, you adopt a policy of, okay, we're going to reach the world. We're going to do need-based or need-based ministry. We're going to do gift-based ministry. What you're going to find out, there are a lot of hungry people out there who are in the ministry,
Right.
but don't have a place to really land. They go places because
Right.
it's comfortable
Right.
going there,
right.
but they're
They
looking,
wanna work.
They're looking for somebody a pastor who's not going to be jealous, a pastor
Right.
who wants them to flourish and be all because he's
right.
comfortable in his own skin.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
When a pastor does that, there are going to be multitudes of other ministers, and this is just one aspect of it, multitudes of other ministers that's going to flock to that place
Right.
because they feel like they can be
They can be
themselves and be used. Yeah. And so that thing. Also, the state of the church is the African-American church is rapidly dwindling. One reason is because when I've surveyed and done research studies, because a lot of people say, well, I left because I wasn't being taught.
Right. You hear that a lot.
Yeah. So I'm one of those people, I love to shout and dance. I really do.
Right.
But I also like teaching.
Right. I do too.
Yeah, so let's shout and dance.
Yeah, but we gotta know something.
Yeah, and ain't no harm in shouting and dancing. I'm a quick runner,
Right, right.
and all that stuff. But we also need to equip our people.
Yeah.
I was talking about last night to a friend of mine who about a person that I know that's in ministry that left a sound ministry because he was a member there, but it was a sound church as far as
Right.
theology,
Yeah.
but it had poor capability in equipping.
Right. Right.
And this person left, who's a preacher,
Yeah.
and started going to a cult.
Oh man.
And it hurt my heart because I'm like, and at one point that person wanted to pastor that local church.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been over the Lord's people, but he wasn't settled himself.
Right. Right. That's
And
something.
so I see the state of the church differently for African American church, for the Anglo church, because there's issues there too. But if you want to reach the world, because the world is global, right? We're globally connected.
Global. Yeah.
And so if you want to reach people, like right now in our ministry, we have over 15,000 preachers in our ministry.
Okay.
And theoretically, I'm over all of them,
Yeah.
theoretically.
Yeah.
But if you got in a meeting with us, you wouldn't know who was in charge.
Right. Right.
Because it's called empowered leadership. That's not about me being empowered. That's about me empowering everybody else around me.
That's good. That's good.
And so I'm all about, okay, what y'all think?
Right.
Tell
That's
me-
it. You want to know.
And it's going to be, it may come to a point where I say, okay, I understand what y'all said, but this is what the Lord is saying.
Right. You got to make a
And
decision.
then I have to make a decision, kind of like James, the Lord's brother, did at the council meeting in Jerusalem. And so I see the church bright because right now, for instance, if I got you to share the gospel or even preach for me in the 1040 window,
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that there's going to be a minimum of 100 professions of faith every hour for however long I run it. Minimum. And I guarantee you that if I did a Bible study and just threw the Bible study up,
Yeah.
in 1 week there's going to be over 600,000 people come to that Bible study
Okay.
around the world.
Yeah. That's great.
You name a country, we got them.
You got it on. That's great.
In the 1040 window.
Yeah.
And so like Algeria,
Yeah.
which is a Muslim-dominated country, they every Sunday they call and leave us threatening messages. They're gonna kill us.
What?
They cussing us out.
Oh, man.
They're doing everything, and I'm calm.
Yeah.
Cause next week, you know what? Them same folk
Uh-huh.
gonna be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, go and do what you got to do, but I know you're gonna be back
They
next.
coming
Sunday.
back, huh?
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing. You got a global reach that is
That's awesome.
unprecedented. But I'm gonna be quiet because I'm going on about that.
Pastor, we had a great time. Awesome information. We just thank God for you, and we just pray that you continue to do what God has called you to do. And we're just excited about you coming and being here with us, and we're going to have you back again. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you for tuning in.